everyone, welcome to Jesus Is. My new guest is Jess and her husband. He's already been on Jesus Is platform. We've interviewed him below if you want to go look at that video. But I am combining these two testimonies into one because, as the Bible says, when you get married, you become one. And Jess's testimony intertwines with Steve's testimony about how Jesus came into their life. I'll just say this real quick. Testimonies are about God, not about us. I learned that a while ago, and I'm just reiterating it. This is all about God and how God has moved in our lives, and it's to glorify God. God made us for Him and not us for us. He didn't make us for us. So
I'm going to add to what you said because my first thought on my notes
go ahead.
Was like, why would anyone care to hear my testimony? But in the Bible, we're told to share it.
Yes.
So yeah. So
share it.
Not about us.
Share it because of what?
Because of God.
Show His glory, right?
Yeah.
Good job.
Good.
Jess, you're from a small area.
Yes.
You're from the same area I'm from, so it's a small area. So I want to go in your early years of your life. How many siblings do you have? Where are you in that mix? Because I know Steve is the youngest, and he was 7, 6, 8 years from yours.
12. He was 12.
From your closest one?
Oh, 9.
So go ahead.
I have one sister. She's 15 months older, and a younger brother. He's 9 years younger. So I'm the middle child.
Wow, 9 years younger.
Yeah.
That seems to be a theme over there.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so you're in the middle, you said.
Yes.
And so you got 3 siblings and 2 parents.
Well, 2 siblings.
Or 2 siblings, that's what I meant. 3 including you.
Yes, parents. So my parents are not together.
But they were when you were born.
So yes. I will share this because it's part of my background. So they did divorce when I was 5-ish. And then they got remarried to each other when I was around 8. And that's when my brother came along.
Oh, okay. That explains everything.
Yeah. And then they got divorced again in 2001. My dad remarried. My mom did not.
Okay. Early faith. Did they have any early faith when you were born? Were they going to church? What kind of church? If they weren't going to church, then they weren't going to church.
So obviously, when I was born, I knew nothing.
Oh yes.
That I don't remember. I was told growing up, like my dad, when he was younger, went to a Protestant church. My mom grew up as a Roman Catholic, so she kind of took the lead in the religious realm and brought her kids to God. And I'm going to say mainly my sister and I, because we were so close in age. We had to do the Sunday school stuff.
Okay. So at the beginning that you remember, you went to church. You went to Catholic church.
Yes.
Okay. So who attended? Your family? Your dad didn't attend, or your mom did, or what was that?
So my mom would go. I remember back then we would go like on Saturday, like 4:00 one, maybe even 5. I don't remember. My dad only went every once in a while, but definitely not, I guess, as much as my mom did. But she wasn't consistent. It wasn't like every Saturday or however that worked.
Saturday, not Sunday.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So you said there was a big event in your life at that time. You said your parents got divorced when you were young?
Yes. So, the first time they got divorced, I just remember bits and pieces.
Do you know how long they've been together before they got divorced?
So, they weren't really dating, if I recall. They didn't, well, put it this way, they didn't establish a relationship. It was, if I recall correctly, I don't want to say a one-night stand kind of thing, but they didn't know each other that well.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, they got pregnant with my sister.
And then they got married?
Yeah, when my mom was 5 months pregnant, because my dad's dad told my dad to do the right thing
Oh,
and
okay.
marry her. So basically, that their relationship didn't even really start off on a good
Now,
note.
were your grandparents religious or Jesus oriented or anything like that?
So I was really young when my dad's dad died, so
Okay.
I don't remember him too much. I just remember stories.
Mhm.
My grandma went to church and still does. On my mom's side, so my maternal grandfather died before I was even born. I think he died the same year my sister was born.
Okay.
But my grandma, so my mom's mom, yeah, she went to church. She was big on church and religion.
Catholic?
Yes.
Okay. What did you learn in the Catholic church growing up as a young girl?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
Just because I didn't I knew the basics of like God, Jesus. Definitely did not know what I know now. My mom, like I said earlier, sent us to Sunday school, and in the Catholic religion, I believe they're called sacraments.
Mhm.
Um, so I made my first communion, but I didn't know like why I was doing it. I just remember after you did it is when you could partake of communion and have the bread and the wine.
So they didn't explain to you, or they did and you just didn't remember?
Yeah, because we had a whole class on it. We had to
Oh.
take a class, and yeah, I don't remember.
Well, how old were you? You were pretty young.
I was like 8 or 9,
Yeah.
like third grade. So yeah, and I don't know. I guess when you're that young, like, you're not thinking about God and Jesus and that religious stuff.
No.
But as I got older, I realized like Catholics, it's very like traditional, like tradition of saying certain things and like standing, sitting, kneeling,
Okay.
like through the service.
All right. So no Jesus really personal relationship with him.
No, it was. I'm gonna say like for me as I was getting older, he was more like this tool. Like okay, like an example, like I would pray like please help me pass my test, or please let there be a snow day, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was no relationship, and again, like as I got older, I would blame God for like stuff that
Your
was
problems.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if stuff didn't go my way, I was very, we'll say selfish. And
Did you blame God for your parents' divorce?
So I never really like it. It is what it was. Um, I think as I got older, maybe I learned it affected me in a way. Because at the time, obviously, the first time I was too young to really understand what was going on. I was 18, 18 or 19 when they got divorced a second time, and I don't really remember what I thought. All I know is like looking back, they were probably better off apart. Because there was a lot of abuse and yelling and stuff in
That's what you remember.
our household. Yeah.
That's not. Yeah.
And I sometimes maybe that is why like I mean, we'll get there, but why I struggled in my teenage years, things that were said, why I felt the way I did, maybe why I deal with anxiety. So
let's get into your teenage years.
Yay.
Are you still going to church, Catholic, or did you guys quit?
So my mom never really quit. She would go here and there on a Saturday. If we had the option to go with her or not, I would always choose not to go. I didn't. I was too cool for church.
They didn't force you to go.
Not really, but in my teenage years is when I started kind of my attitude started changing toward the rebelliousness. So there were times where she'd make me go, but I also remember sitting there like, not really pouting, but I had the attitude of like, I don't want to be here. I wouldn't listen. I wouldn't care what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even really know like what was being taught.
So you had no relationship pretty much with Jesus.
Yeah, no.
No.
I just knew he was there.
And the big event in your life was your parents getting divorced for the second time.
Yeah, I guess.
Why did they try to get back together after the first time? Because of the kids?
I think how my mom explained it was so when she filed, I believe she filed the first time. She kind of wanted to show my dad. I'm sorry if I got this story wrong. If any of my family's watching, um, she wanted him to. I don't know if she thought she could change him. She basically wanted to show him like what it was like without her or without being without the family. I don't really remember.
Oh, that's fine.
Too young, I guess. And I know she shared, but I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh.
I
mean, it's an event that happened in your life twice, but they've all moved on, so it's really water under a bridge. But
yeah,
but it affected you.
Yeah, yeah, because even like they got divorced the second time, things were not good, and I'm just gonna be honest, like toward the end, I'm just gonna say like my dad cheated on my mom cheated on my dad. Somehow, I I feel like I was somehow like involved, kind of in the middle, because eventually, obviously, I knew, but when I was in my teenage years, I was closer to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and I fought all the time. Yeah, it was weird. And then, like, my parents would fight about me, then they'd just fight about things in general, and it was just ugly.
Yeah. I would say so. Anything else in that time period?
I don't know what brought it on, but I guess I could say since I was closer to my dad, maybe he was more of my friend than my parents. So like I remember I would hang out with him in the garage because we had a garage. He'd work on cars and stuff, and I liked hanging out with him. It was a different scene. So I started smoking and drinking around age 14.
Did he smoke and drink?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My dad was an alcoholic.
Oh, okay.
We'll say, which is probably what fueled most of my parents' arguments. Just not a nice man, especially when he drank certain things. He'd go to the club, come home, and like my sister and I knew like there's gonna be a fight, and so yeah, just dishes would go flying, fists would go flying.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just not a good upbringing,
no.
I guess. So yeah, I was rebellious. I also at some point, so things were said to me by my mom, which like I've gotten over, but again, it's part of my story, and I think how I got to where I was in my teenage years. Just stuff that was said to me personally affected how I thought about myself. I felt unloved. I felt worthless. I actually hated life. I would write like suicidal poems, just very dark stuff. I would cut my legs, even my wrists, because I remember always telling myself I'd rather feel physical pain than emotional pain.
Right.
So yeah, and during this phase, like I said, my mom and I didn't get along. My dad would try sticking up for me because I remember he heard this one particular comment and like couldn't believe she said it in front of me. I don't know. I feel like maybe I should just share it, but like I don't.
It's up to you. I mean,
like I know people grow over the years, and like my mom and I do have a good relationship now.
Right.
But what she said affected me, so I'm just gonna say it. Like my mom said, like my sister and my brother were her favorite because my sister was the oldest, and my brother was the youngest. And then there I am, just sitting in the middle, feeling like a nobody. And I remember exactly where we were. We were sitting on the porch, and my dad was, I don't know if they were arguing, but I remember him coming back to the porch at a fast speed and like saying, how can you say that,
Right.
and like in front of her. So I will say, like, as my kids were growing, or our kids were growing up, like, they would joke, especially
Yeah.
the oldest, and say, I'm your favorite, aren't I? And like that would always bother me because
Oh.
I would never do that to my kids and say, oh, I have a favorite. Like, yeah, all your kids are different,
Mm-hmm.
and like you love them the same, but because they're different, you treat them different. Yeah, I'll admit I wasn't an easy teenager to deal with, but at the same time, if you take my backstory, that led to what I went through. So through, I think it went into my early 20s too, because even I know a lot of teenage relationships don't last, but I was I was hanging around people I shouldn't have been hanging around with, but I was also looking for love. Like,
Right.
I just wanted to be loved, and like looking back, it was weird. Like, all the nice guys, like, I would push away. All the like jerks and troubled guys is what I was drawn to, and it was so weird, so weird. But
I
yeah.
know why she married me.
Yeah, you're
I'm a jerk.
Well, that's another story, which we'll obviously get to. But
so you were close. Were you the closest to your dad, and the other two weren't? Maybe that's the reason why your mom said that. I'm not. I'm not. I'm just. Were your other siblings close to your dad?
So I'm glad you brought that up. So back then, I'm gonna say yes, because my sister, now her and I didn't get along. I thought she was a stuck up prude. I didn't like her. She was like Miss Goody Two Shoes. Um, Again, my brother was younger. I wouldn't say he was close to my dad. Um, they're closer now, but when my brother was younger, no, because again, like, my dad was doing his thing in the garage. My brother would hang out with him. I'd go hang out with him. But yeah, like, I was closer to my dad. Like, I felt like he had my back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was just weird for me. And there were times too, like when I did meet someone nice, I had such low self esteem. I would compare myself to other people, like so this is weird too. Like, I've always had my bubbly personality,
Mm-hmm.
even through like the mess I was in. But I I didn't feel like I measured up when a nice guy liked me. Like, there's so many other people.
Right.
I felt ugly. I didn't like myself. So then I would somehow like ruin the relationship one way or another. And yeah, that was that. Like, and I do feel bad because there are some of the nice guys that I was not nice to,
Mm-hmm.
and like looking back as I've grown, like, I feel bad. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten over it and I'm in a better place, but
You really didn't have an example of a good relationship in
exactly,
your family, so
exactly. And then I think, well, we'll get into when I joined the army. So, I after I was 18, I obviously couldn't wait to get out of the house. So I went to college for a little bit. I was working. Um, I was probably about 30 minutes from home. No,
mm-hmm.
an hour, hours. Um, doing my own thing up there. College party life, drinking. Doing my own thing. Oh, and this is actually around the time my parents, the second time they divorced.
Okay. When you went to college.
Yeah, so I do remember. It was March of 2000. I came home because my mom was actually moving out of the house, and it was kind of sad because it was my brother, sister, my mom, and me, and we were like in a circle, just kind of started to cry because we're leaving the house we grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so that was that. around this time too, I believe I dropped out of school, but I stayed in the town I was in because I was working and I liked where I worked. My roommate and I, we went to high school together and best friends, but that didn't work out living together. But anyway, I can't remember if she moved out or if I moved out, but we ended up splitting ways.
Yeah.
My dad and the woman he was seeing were back in the house I grew up in, so I ended up moving back home in with my dad. And I would drive the distance to go to work still. Over time, stuff happened. I ended up quitting that job. Oh, I ended up moving in with my friend. I would bounce from mom's house, dad's house, friend's house. So I had no stability whatsoever. I tried different jobs, some under the table, like scooping ice cream. um, Ended up, now this is sad, but I ended up moving in with my bus driver that drove our bus in the house I grew up in because I had nowhere to go at this point.
Your school bus.
School bus driver,
Oh,
yes. Wow. Super nice guy. He was old, but then when you move in with someone, you kind of learn stuff. So I had to get out of there. So I ended up finding my own. Actually, he knew a guy that had an apartment, so I ended up moving into there. Ended up having to move out of there. Oh, I ended up working again. But then the group I was hanging out with as a teenager somehow like found me. Although there was one kid I kind of stayed in touch with, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but they were bringing drugs into my apartment, and I didn't know it. Like, I guess I was just dumb and naive, and I didn't realize it until I was obviously older. Like, oh, that's what they were doing. So basically, anyway, the one guy I was seeing ended up stealing my checkbook. I had my rent money in there to pay rent, and when I went to pay rent, it was gone.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, that was just not a good situation. So anyway, then a friend of mine from Hamburg offered me to come live up there. So I had to get out of the area because I wasn't getting anywhere in life. So moved to Hamburg, just wasn't home. It just wasn't working out. So I ended up calling my mom, talking with her. I moved back in with her. This is basically where I hit rock bottom and said, I'm going to join the service. So,
okay. That's what got you to join the service.
So, yeah, hit rock bottom. Went to the recruiting office. Short amount of time because I remember going there. I could leave as early as 2 weeks, and I'm like, yep. So I remember my mom was grocery shopping, so I drove over there, and I told her when I was leaving, and like she actually couldn't believe how quick. But I will say, let's fast forward a little bit. Best experience of my life, basic training. So
yeah,
just to leave was awesome. So I got to spend basic in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, met awesome people. That's where I learned, like, I was somebody. During this time, I started talking to God, and not in a selfish sense. Just like, thank you for getting me here and stuff like that, but not like it is now.
So how did you learn you were somebody? Was it the military, people you hung around with?
I think it was all because I feel a lot of people there are coming from broken families, and so like we bonded over that, and then you're bonding just because you're in this experience, different experience. And then I always joke with my mom that the drill sergeants yelling never bothered me because I was so used to being yelled at as a teenager that it didn't faze me, but I loved it. Like I think I love the environment. That's where I ended up fracturing my hip, and I was so close to graduating, and we had to do, I forgot how high the tower is, but I had to do this tower, and I'm thinking, like, it was in my groin. It was a pubic bone that fractured, so moving your legs, it felt weird and it hurt. But I wanted to graduate with the class I came in with. So I did this tower, like climbing up and then rappelling down this wall, and I just remember like my friends like cheering me on, and I was crying because I was in so much pain. But when I hit the bottom after rappelling down the wall,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like empowered. Like, oh my gosh, I did this with like a broken or fractured hip, and
Right.
just overwhelming emotions. And so that was awesome. That was an awesome experience. So then fast forward, I come home for a month. I stayed with my mom, but she ended up kicking me out. I don't know if this was her and I started not getting along.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up living with my friend at the time. Then it was time for me to go to Germany. So my friend and her husband drove me to Maryland to get
Oh wow.
to the airport. And I remember that morning, I don't remember if I called my mom or if she called my friend's house, but I did speak to her before I left. And like we both apologized for whatever happened. So I spent 8 months over in Germany, which was another awesome experience. Basically, though, when I got there, I knew I was getting out. Like the medical portion affected me, obviously. So, and it was weird because somehow, like they knew that they were getting someone broken, as I would say.
Oh really?
So I basically started the process of getting out when I got there. But that was just another event. But I do remember. So my unit was actually getting ready to go to Iraq. So as they were going to Iraq, I was going home. So that was messing with my head. I made some really good friends there. And then of course I had to come home, and I was depressed. I didn't want to be home because I'm back in that environment, and like things were good with my mom because my mom was living in an apartment with my brother. Things were okay for a while, and then they weren't. My mom kicked me out, told me I reminded her too much of my dad, so I ended up moving back in with my dad. And then at this time, like my dad still drinking, and my stepmom was also drinking, so put the two together, it's like a bomb. So that was not a healthy environment either. At this point, it's like 2004. Because for a year when I came home, I took like a year off from working or doing anything. I was getting unemployment because I just got out of the military. So while living with my dad, I decided at this point I need to move out. So I did find a security job because in the military I was military police, which I laugh at just because, probably because of my size, and I'm not intimidating whatsoever.
No.
I did get a security job, got into an apartment. So I was working in the guard shack. This is where Steve comes in.
All right.
So he was working for a truck company, and he was working in the yard truck. So during my training, I remember the guy said, there's two Steves that work here. There's Steve Senior and Steve Junior. I actually met his dad first. And I do laugh. I got to share this story. Our oldest son, when he was young and was told this story, he said, well, why didn't you marry him? Just because I met his dad first. So that was funny. And I said, okay. And like Steve Senior at that time, super sweet man, nice. So I got to meet him. And then the guy training me said that Steve Jr. works like the 4 to 12 shift. And I said, okay. Well, I was always training on the 8 to 4 shift, so I never met him until I was on my own. Yeah, there was one time he came up to the guard shack window because I'd signed the trucks in and out. And me being me, I said, you're Steve, right? You know, all smiley and yeah. And I'm just like, okay, open the gate and let him go out. And I'm thinking, what a jerk. Like, I just met the guy and just asked him if his name was Steve. And yeah. So,
what did you think, Steve?
I had work to do.
So, but it was weird because again, remember I made that comment like I was attracted to jerks, but you think after going through the military and meeting like nice people and stuff, that would have passed, but
obviously not.
Obviously not. So, but it was weird. So yeah, there was
Good thing you were a jerk.
an attraction there because so when we met, like he was like all muscle, disciplined in his working out. No offense.
A little too late.
Not taken.
And I always liked tattoos. So I remember like just peeking out the guard shack window and I'd watch him drive by. So yes.
That jerk.
I like I don't know, guard shack stalker of Steve Jr. I'd watch him go by and like you could see his muscles like on his tattoo and he at the time I always said he had wavy hair. But he'd just drive by and I would just like looking at him. He always wore white t-shirt and jeans and his work boots. And after a while he did warm up to me and well I gotta share though his old man truck. It was just a white Chevy with the cap on the back. But so the guard shack was kind of by the road and like from a distance you'd hear this loud music and as he got closer it was him. And I'm like just sitting there kind of looking at him as he's going through the employee gate so I don't have to let him in and he's listening to this like death metal music and I'm just looking at him like seriously? Like I couldn't stand it. But yeah, so I'm like, okay. So anyway, since we both were working the 4 to 12 shift and he'd obviously be coming in and out, I don't remember how we started talking, but we just started talking and established a friendship. And at that time, I was going through a weird, I guess we're going to call it a weird breakup. So I was seeing someone when I met him. And that was weird all in itself because when I left Germany, I met someone out there. Was engaged, but again, that was another relationship I screwed up because the distance I know played a factor and just my mindset. I don't do good if there's distance and like if I can't see that person.
Right. So,
long story short, like he came to town and met up with the guy I was seeing, and it just was weird to me. Steve actually got me through that, and I would talk to him about it. So anyway, that finally fizzled out, and Steve and I got closer. Like we were actually friends first, before we started dating. We like I love telling the story, but we would spend like because we both got off at midnight, and we'd hang out either I hang out in the yard truck with him. When he was working overtime, or we'd like sit on his tailgate and just like talk till like 3-4 in the morning. And I do remember there was one time where he was talking and I was kind of in his zone and I said, I'm gonna marry this man. I don't like that look on your face, like, oh my goodness. So yeah.
I was just thinking about how you were bashing my old man truck, but we're fine sitting on the tailgate of it.
Yes. But you also weren't playing that crappy music while we were sitting back there. But it was cute because when we like started our relationship past the friendship, like he'd bring me cute things like sticks.
Sticks?
He'd bring me a stick.
Yeah.
And I remember he brought me a rock. And then he picked like the little flowers from his grandma's and he brought them and then it was just cute. And then I was big on McDonald's, so he actually would bring me McDonald's when I was working and he wasn't. So fast forward a little bit, so he ended up moving into my apartment for a couple months. Then we ended up moving out together into a rental house. Mind you, this is all happening and from between July of 04 and December 04. January of 05, he proposed. And then May of 05, we got married. And then here we are 21 years married. And, well, we've been together, technically be like 21 years, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, now you probably gotta get back to Jesus.
No, it's all part of how you guys
That
are
is
coming
true.
to the Lord.
Very true. So yeah, so within all of us, or him and I meeting, I did learn that he grew up as Jehovah's Witness.
All right.
Obviously I did have to meet his mom because, like I said, I already met his dad. Super awesome guy. His mom was totally different.
Was your dad a Jehovah Witness when you guys met?
No.
He wasn't. Your mom was.
Correct.
So, okay.
She was working at the time in an office, and he was actually working for them.
Yeah, I always had little side gigs. So I had like a full-time job, and then I'd have a side hustle. Like I was one of them was finding people's septic tanks and gravel boxes, and then I'd dig them out by hand. And
for your parents?
No, this was for another company.
Okay.
So I had my own little business of
finding poop holes.
Yeah.
That's what I would call them.
And then I was working as a bouncer at night.
Yeah.
So I always had.
Man, you were all busy.
Yeah, I was always working. But yeah, go ahead. You met my mother.
Oh yeah, so that was a little intimidating because she just had that aura about her, and it was like asking me 20 questions, like what I want to do with my life. And
before you got married, or does this happen?
Oh, this is before.
Oh, okay.
And at that time, I don't remember what I said. I mean, I'm 43 now. I still don't know what I want to do. I just kind of wing it.
Yeah.
But her and I eventually, like at one point, like her and I did have a good relationship. Because like she helped with our wedding. Like she helped buy my dress, get stuff. My mom was kind of.
Did she ever ask you if you were Catholic or any affiliation?
I don't even remember how that got started, but after we were married and had our first two boys, she did ask me to study. Now, I still had my beliefs, and growing up, like my mom did not like the Jehovah Witnesses coming to the door.
Right.
So she put up a no soliciting sign, but they still came. My mom went to the door and said, I don't want solicitors, and they said, we're not soliciting. So she made a different sign that said no Jehovah Witnesses. So in my head, it was ingrained that they're bad. So anyway, so I did agree to study, and during study, I knew some stuff wasn't what I knew or what I was taught. And just eventually, like, it wasn't comfortable for me anymore. And I ended up, like, canceling our studies and then just flat out stopped.
Right.
Yeah, and then I feel like stuff then started going downhill there.
So where are we in your life? You're in your mid-20s?
Yeah.
Were they all in your life when you guys were having kids and everything? Everything was good with his parents?
Yeah, she was really helpful when we had our oldest because he was born a preemie. And he came home on oxygen and stuff because he spent a month of his life in the NICU. So yeah, so like when he was working, if I needed help, like she'd be right there. So yeah, that was good. Second child, like she was still around. They'd come around, his parents. My sister would come up and visit. I believe she would bring my mom. Cause yeah, in the beginning, I think, well, minus my dad, he wasn't around when I had my kids. So then,
would your mom try to get you to go back or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
The Jehovah, after you guys got married?
Not really. So every year they have what's called a memorial. service.
Yeah.
And they would always invite us to that. And we went a couple times. I really didn't have, it was more like kind of just appease them type deal.
I mean, after getting married kind of makes you more mature. Maybe she thought, for some people, you have to grow up eventually, but I don't know if that, I know you said you were wild and you were in what you described. So you guys both came together and got married, and then you have a religious aspect in his life, and I guess your mom also, but she never forced you to go or asked you to go back to the Catholic Church or anything like that.
No, nothing like that. And like his mom would take our oldest boy like to the Kingdom Hall because he was young. He didn't really know.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was just happy that he was getting God in his life some way. Different story. So after we had our second son, I think I had like some postpartum issues, and we were having a rough time then. But that's not really the time that brought me back to Jesus. So it was after we had our daughter. Once I got myself back to normal after having our second kid. It was a little after we had our daughter. Stuff was weird. At this point, I think he was working a different job. His hours were all over the place. Wasn't home a lot. When he was home, he was tired, grumpy, and so how he was behaving. And again, this is how I think my parents affected me. Like, I didn't look at it as, oh, he's providing for our family.
Right.
I'm taking it personal. Like, why is he being like mean or grumpy and la-di-da? So we started fighting. Like, there were times where he'd be sleeping and I would intentionally like be loud in the kitchen. And like looking back, like I'm actually embarrassed about that, but I mean, it was, I believe we had to go through that to get to where we are now.
Yeah.
So stuff like I said, we're just like fighting all the time. And back then, like I would stay up late, and he'd be leaving for work at like midnight. So I can't remember if we were fighting this particular night when he left, but I remember I stayed up, and for a while I was sitting on the couch, just kind of with like a dim light on, just sitting there, like. Then I decided to turn the TV on, and this, like, it still excites me because looking back, like, I understand it. But turn the TV on. I didn't know who she was, but it was Joyce Meyer, and she's looking straight at the TV, and she says, "You did not turn this on by accident." And I'm just sitting there like a deer in the headlights, like, what? And I don't even remember what she said after that. All I know is I kept listening to her. She must have been preaching about something that obviously grabbed me, because from that point on, I wanted to listen to her messages. I wanted to know more about God and Jesus. I started buying her books. He did not like it, but I did it anyway because I wanted to learn. As a Catholic and the traditions, I had it in my head my kids needed to be baptized in order to be saved.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Joyce Meyer Ministries. I was tickled, like, when they wrote back, and what they did was they acknowledged like baptism, and they actually took the time to explain it to me better. And then they encouraged me to find a local church, which again is interesting because like for a whole year I was eyeing up a particular church.
Right.
So after talking with Joyce Meyer Ministries, I sent a message to this church, probably asking questions. But basically, like the following Sunday, I ended up going.
Do you know why that church?
I have no idea. I believe.
Did you know about all the denominations and?
So, because of all the religious stuff, I wanted something non-denominational.
Okay.
And so I believe God led me there. I mean, in my head, I'm like, why else would that be on my mind for like a year? So I went there, and like They were very nice. I started learning more, and I got to actually understand baptism more, and a lot of stuff was clicking.
Right.
So I had a good experience there.
So you started going there, but your husband didn't.
Oh yes, we got to back up to that. So my boys and I would go because our daughter is autistic. So she was a handful. So for a while I wouldn't take her. But the people of the church encouraged me to bring her.
Yeah.
So I did. It was challenging at first because she was so rambunctious. Like her and I would sit at the table in the fellowship room, and I always felt like I was missing out because I was in the other room, even though you could hear and see on the TV. But anyway, she's I think even she started growing there because she would bring up like Jesus and stuff, and it was just cute. But anyway, so our oldest boy ended up he decided he was 10, he wanted to get baptized.
Right.
So we invited Steve to come. Obviously it was his boy, so he came, but I don't think he really cared too much about the.
Did you care, Steve?
Like,
I cared because it was my son.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was.
So can I go to you and say, like, is this JW all over again because they were baptizing them? Isn't that what the JWs do for membership? They baptize into the church.
They baptize into their church. You become a member.
Do they do submersion baptism?
With a baptism, yeah.
Yeah.
But they have, I forget if it's like 60 or 80 questions you got to go through, and got to be taught certain things.
So that didn't put your little guard up?
Oh, the whole thing put my guard up.
Well, yeah, but you're letting your son go get baptized.
Right. I wasn't going to be like, you can't be baptized for your beliefs. But I always had a kind of like a predisposition against people who are religious.
Yeah.
Or especially like pastors or leaders of a church.
Yeah.
I always had kind of a questioning nature against them.
I don't think that's wrong. I mean, even today, there's, especially the way you grew up in the JWs in your early life. But anyhow.
Well, I was going to say when, I think at one point I did ask him in our relationship if he believed in God, and he said that he believed in a higher power, but that was pretty much as far as it went.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he was always sketchy of anyone in that position of pastor, preacher, whatever.
Sketchy is a good word.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm assuming that never came up before you got married, though. Did you believe in God?
No.
I don't think so.
So you're at the baptism. Go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And yeah, nothing, I guess, really changed with him. Obviously, the kids and I continued to go. I would invite him.
Did you go to the service too, or just the baptism?
Yeah, he went to the service.
You went to the service. Okay. And then there was a lunch.
Yes.
Yes. That free food always gets
done. So that's actually one of the times how I got him to come back is Soup Sunday. I made his favorite soup. I said, I'm making your favorite soup. Come on. And he did come. But in between, like that time, like I'd ask him, he'd always say no. And then, like our boys, mostly our oldest boy, would start asking him. And it'd be like, we'll see, maybe. And it ended up being a no that Sunday morning. So yeah, he wouldn't really come.
So how many years did you go to church before he said yes? Well, how many years did you go, Steve? Couple?
I want to say it was like 2 or 3.
3, so 4 years.
I think 2017 was when we started going.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 3 or 4 years later when he finally decided to, I guess, come check out the church, like for real. And he can share like why, like what he saw.
Did you accept Jesus in your life before this? I know you do. I know your son did because he got baptized,
Oh, so
and that was one of the prerequisites before getting baptized is accepting Jesus.
yeah. So I accepted Jesus, but I didn't get baptized. For some reason, I never. It's kind of weird. I understand it now as looking back, but I never had that like, oh, go get baptized, because I was baptized as a baby. But again,
Was that sprinkle?
yeah.
Not that it matters. I'm just
but yeah, because the Bible teaches being
submerged. That's what Jesus was.
Yeah, and I wasn't, and I knew at some point I needed to be rebaptized. In my decision, but yeah, for some reason I didn't.
Okay.
Until I did, and we'll get there. Because this is
why did you decide to go to church, Steve? Because your wife, or because of God?
Well, they would ask me to come. Most of the time, I would say no. I did see a change in my wife, and it was a pretty big change that she went through. And then, like during COVID, I ended up going down there, and I believe it was another meal day.
Yeah, it was Soup Sunday. I think that's what I realized.
And I went down there with like, okay, let's see what this is about.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it all started. Then I started my own personal Bible reading, and then started going regularly. And then I think it was a year after that we both got baptized together.
Okay.
So.
But you never read the Bible at all, or thought of it before that.
Well, as a JW, you read their Bible.
Yeah.
Along with their books. So I did have a very limited knowledge of the Bible. But I wanted to read through the Bible without somebody telling me what everything means or their interpretation of it. I just wanted to read through it be actually able to read things in context, full chapters.
Yeah.
One right after another.
Right.
And I wanted to do that before I made any decision.
It was awesome.
When he started going.
Yes, because having your whole family there, it's different.
Oh yeah.
Can't explain it, but it was different, and like even our home dynamic changed. Like he took his place, as the Bible says, as head of the household. We started, like praying before dinner. Like we got closer, and we don't. It's fun when you go after Jesus together and like learn. It's not what people think it is, that you gotta follow all these rules and you gotta quit doing fun stuff. Like I quit drinking. I haven't smoked since I got pregnant with our oldest son, which was back in 2006. And like we're fun. Like we probably don't act our age. He will when he needs to, but I don't. but we're fun. We're close, and we don't really fight anymore. And if we do get upset with each other, give it 5 minutes. One of us will either say we're sorry, or we say something like stupid funny, and it's just like,
no, that's good. I mean, Jesus, you were at the low point of your life when you guys were probably at odds or whatever, and then that's when he comes and says, come over here.
Yeah, and what's interesting though is like we're opposites, but like it works.
Yeah.
So like I've truly been blessed having him like come into my life, because I know like I don't deserve a lot of the stuff that has happened, or just just how he's blessed my life in general. And like I said, like Steve's a huge part of where I am today. I mean, Jesus gets the number one.
Right. You got a relationship with him.
Yeah, and it helps. And I say this to my other Christian friends, that I wish more people would be open to learning more about Jesus and bringing him into your life, because it'll change. Like, yeah, I still have a little anxiety, but once I start either singing a worship song, or I'll just start talking to Jesus in my mind, like you can change that.
All right.
So I'm gonna share an example.
Go ahead.
So, last school year I started subbing, and I'm timid. A lot of people, especially your wife, does not think I'm shy. But
I don't think you're shy.
But it's weird because I am, and I can be. So I wanted to sub just like as a teacher's assistant or whatever. Well, I've been encouraged to like sub as a teacher, and my automatic reaction is I laugh and I'm like, "There's no way," because high school kids can be mean. And I'm kind of nerdy, so I figured I'm gonna be one of those subs that get laughed at. Well, I remember I I felt like, go do it. And I told God, I said, I can't do this without you. I literally prayed from the time I got in my car all the way until I got to school. And that first day of subbing, it was like I wasn't me. It's like it almost came to me like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this.
Right.
And I'm sitting there just giving the glory to God, because I'm like, I know that's you, because I can't do this. So, like, I got like a lot of stories to share. Yeah. Like how God is like move. I don't know how to word it.
Like, you definitely know there's a difference before and
after. Yes. And
before it was hopeless. After it isn't.
And now there is hope, and you honestly are never alone, because just go to God and surrender yourself. Totally worth it.
Oh yeah.
And look at it this way: in the process, our family met your family, and we're friends now.
I know. So, anything else you want to share with anybody? That, I mean, I think you hit a lot of things on the head. You were, to summarize, you had a broken family, you rebelled, you went into the darkness, you found him. You had kind of a good life, but it could be better. And you got a little
lost
headbutts, and then you found Jesus through the TV, which is good. He shows up everywhere.
Yeah.
And you started searching for him, and after you started searching for him, you changed, obviously, because your husband said you changed, and then that's what changed him.
I liked you before.
No, but I'm just saying, like, that's the synopsis of.
Yeah, like overall. I wasn't a jerky wife, like trying to keep him up all night even though he had to work. Like, yeah, that shifted, and my mind went to, I wanted to be a better wife to him.
Anything you want to add to, Steve?
So even before she she became a Christian, we would spat. I can have a short fuse, and she would have a short fuse, and then it would just be like a flash of the pan. We would, but it wasn't like there was never a time where I thought, well, I'm going to leave her. Yeah. And I don't believe that she thought the same thing. But we could get very mean and aggressive extremely quickly. Yeah. And then afterwards, like I still had that same short fuse, but she didn't.
Mhm.
And she was much more like the fruits of the spirit.
Yeah.
That,
Now I'm just fruity.
yes. But you could see in her personality.
Yeah.
It was a lot less, how can I get you mad, to how can I calm the situation.
Yeah.
And so, and you could see that big change and how she dealt with me, how she dealt with the children, how she just presented herself,
Mhm.
and how she, in her actions. So it was very noticeable.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to read one verse before we wrap it up, and then we'll go from there. So the ESV in the 1 Corinthians 9:24. Do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. And then another version says, so run to win. So the race doesn't end until we obviously go home to be with the Lord. So we got to keep running this race. You don't win if you never cross the finish line. I just put that in there. This is a continuous process. This isn't like you're happy and everything. I'm glad you guys are happy and all that, but you know what I mean? It's not over with.
Right.
You guys got along, even I do, have this race to run, and the finish line is when we go home to be with the Lord. So
Yeah, because even as Christians, you're still going to have the bad days. It's just now you've got something to hang on to and to look towards, and in
To
your
strive.
mind, like, this too shall pass.
yeah. Well, thanks.
I do want to share one
Okay.
more thing. I just want to share. Joyce Meyer has said something that I've always hung on to.
Yeah.
And I know there are people out there that don't like the TV evangelist, but one thing she said that has always made sense is you live life forward, understand it backwards. Because as you're going through your life, and when you find Jesus and then you start growing, and then when you look back, you can see like where he's guided you, directed you, possibly saved you. So yeah, I would just encourage everyone out there to, like, don't be afraid of finding Jesus, because you won't be disappointed. Well, life will disappoint you, but Jesus won't.
He makes it better.
Yeah.
He softens the disappointment.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thanks for having me on your channel.
No problem.